What if one decision, just one deployment, quietly changed the balance of power in an entire region? That's exactly the feeling spreading across Southeast Asia right now. Because this isn't just another military exercise or routine cooperation. This time, it's different. The United States is sending more advanced missile launchers into the Philippines, and China is not staying quiet about it. In fact, Beijing is calling it dangerous, irresponsible, even warning it could drag the region toward confrontation. That kind of language isn't casual. It tells you something deeper is shifting. Because when missiles enter the picture, everything changes. Not long ago, the US-Philippines alliance looked familiar, almost predictable. Joint exercises, troop rotations, disaster response drills. The kind of cooperation that had been going on for decades under the Mutual Defense Treaty. But over time, the nature of that partnership has evolved. Slowly at first, then all at once. Now we're looking at something much more serious, forward-deployed missile systems, positioned right at the edge of one of the most contested regions in the world, the South China Sea. And if you zoom out for a second, the timing isn't random. Tensions in the region have been building for years, overlapping territorial claims, maritime standoffs, close encounters at sea. The 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration rejected China's sweeping claims, but it didn't resolve the dispute. If anything, it made things more complicated. Since then, presence has become everything. Ships, coast guards, surveillance aircraft, everyone is watching everyone.
12064, the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea to which you are a party.
And now, missiles have entered the equation in a very visible way. During recent exercises like Balikatan, the US didn't just show up with troops, it brought systems that change how power is projected. One of them is the Typhoon Mid-Range Capability Launcher. Sounds technical, but here's what matters. It can fire Tomahawk cruise missiles and SM-6 multi-role missiles. These aren't defensive tools sitting quietly in the background. These are long-range, precision strike systems. Tomahawks, for example, can travel over 6,600 kilometers. Just think about that for a second. From certain parts of northern Philippines, that range stretches far beyond local waters. It reaches deep into strategic areas that were previously out of reach for Manila alone. And then there's MESIS, the Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System. It's designed to target ships, effectively turning islands into anti-ship strongholds. Some of these systems have already been deployed to places like Batans, right near critical choke points. This isn't just symbolic positioning, it's geography being turned into strategy. The Philippines sits near the Luzon Strait, one of the most important maritime corridors connecting the Pacific Ocean to the South China Sea. Control or even partial control of that area carries massive strategic weight. So when missile systems are placed there, it sends a message. Not just to China, to everyone watching. From Washington's perspective, the message is straightforward: deterrence. The idea is simple. If you make it clear that any aggressive move will be met with serious consequences, you reduce the chances of that move happening in the first place. It's classic deterrence theory. Old school, almost Cold War style, but adapted for a modern, more complex environment. At the same time, it reassures allies. For the Philippines, this kind of deployment signals that the alliance isn't just words on paper. It's operational, real, backed by actual capability on the ground. And that matters, especially when tensions at sea have become more frequent and unpredictable. But here's where things get complicated. Because deterrence doesn't always look like deterrence from the other side. From Beijing's point of view, this isn't stabilizing, it's escalating. Chinese officials have been very direct. They see these missile deployments as offensive, not defensive, as a step that increases risk, not reduces it. And honestly, you can understand why. Imagine if the situation were reversed. If another major power deployed long-range missile systems right near US territory, Washington wouldn't exactly call it routine cooperation. This is what makes the situation so delicate. Both sides believe they are acting defensively. Both sides think they are responding to the other. And that's how security dilemmas form. China has already started pushing back, not just with words, but through diplomacy and signaling. Statements warning Southeast Asian nations about the risks. Pressure on the Philippines to reconsider hosting such systems. There's even rhetoric suggesting that these deployments could turn the Philippines into a frontline state in a much larger strategic rivalry. That idea, being on the front line, is something Manila has to think about very carefully. Because there are clear advantages to this partnership: stronger deterrence, better interoperability, access to advanced systems and intelligence. But there are also risks. Becoming more deeply integrated into U.S. military strategy could make the Philippines more exposed in a crisis. Not necessarily by choice, but by position. And across Southeast Asia, reactions are mixed. Countries like Vietnam and Malaysia, which also have disputes with China, quietly understand the logic behind stronger deterrence. Others, like Indonesia, prefer a more balanced approach, engaging both sides without leaning too heavily in one direction. ASEAN, as always, finds itself trying to maintain unity while its members see the situation through very different lenses. Globally, this move fits into a much larger picture. The U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy has been evolving for years, with billions invested in what's often called the Pacific Deterrence Initiative. The goal is clear: counterbalance China's growing military capabilities and maintain a stable balance of power. But stability, in this context, is a tricky word, because when both sides build up capabilities in response to each other, stability can start to look like tension, just managed tension. And that raises a bigger question: where does this go next? One possibility is a kind of managed equilibrium. Both sides continue to build capabilities, but also establish communication channels, crisis management mechanisms, and clear red lines to avoid accidental conflict. Another possibility is less comfortable: an ongoing cycle of action and reaction. More deployments, more counter-deployments, more pressure points across the region. Not a full conflict, but a constant edge. Right now, it's not clear which direction things will take. What is clear is that the Philippines is no longer just observing these shifts from the sidelines. It's becoming a central piece of the strategic puzzle. And decisions made today about missiles, alliances, and posture will shape its role for years to come. Because in the end, this isn't just about weapons. It's about positioning. It's about how a country navigates between major powers while protecting its own interests. And it's about whether deterrence can hold, without tipping into something no one actually wants.